zoning for local communities. Repeal of the mandate won't prohibit the development of wind and solar in areas where the technologies make sense as economically and technically sound grid contributors, but it will stop the inappropriate placement of projects where the costs outweigh the benefits. Returning for a moment to the NREL charts, Exhibit A is the estimate of windy land area potential by state for areas with greater than 35% capacity factor at 100 meters. The installed capacity shows the potential megawatts of rated capacity that could be installed on the available windy land area, and the annual generation shows annual wind energy generation in gigawatt hours that could be produced from the installed capacity. If I read it the right way, NREL estimates that only 4.65% of Ohio land is viable for wind generation at a 35% capacity factor. A 35% capacity factor is not much. And my understanding is that existing Ohio wind farms have yet to reach even a 30% performance level. I would go back and say that on that 4.65%, it does not consider the land area already serving another use. So the real number of land available is somewhat, if not a great deal, less than 4.65%. My point is that the impact of the mandate falls disproportionately on a small group of Ohioans, and the burden which the mandate requires them to shoulder is excessive, given the exceedingly small, if any, benefit to ratepayers with air quality. And I use the term excessive because experience reflects that in order to squeeze the turbines into this available land, manufacturer setback guidelines must be ignored, and setbacks must be measured from homes instead of property lines, thereby blighting the property of adjacent non-participating landowners. Just last year, when efforts were made here in the omnibus budget bill to increase the setbacks to 1,250 feet from a home, Ohio senators, you refused on the basis that this length would hamper wind development in fulfillment of the mandate. You outright rejected measurement for property lines because of the mandate. In Champaign County, the township government, the city of Urbana, and the county commissioners have been working shoulder to shoulder with the citizens to avoid or limit the damage from a proposed 100-turbine project. At one point or another, every level of government has declared that this project does not serve the public interest. But the mandate trumps it all. The mandate will facilitate wind development in an area representing 40% of the entire county's assessed residential real estate value. I'd like to close with a brief description of one example of the collateral damage in our community. It's a land use that's not recognized in the NREL exclusion tables, which you have in your packet as Exhibit B. 92 years ago, my great-grandmother struck a deal with her daughter and son-in-law to take part of the family farm and build a golf course there. It was on this golf course that my dad and his cousins learned to play golf, and it was on this golf course that his cousin, Pete Dye, grew up and learned about golf course architecture and maintenance. Today, Pete Dye is the only American-born golf course architect in the World Golf Hall of Fame, along with notables like Scotland's Alistair Mackenzie and Donald Ross. The Urbana Country Club is known as the Dye Original, where the whole story of this famous Dye legacy began. We are internationally known, and the course is a source of pride and a part of the cultural heritage of Champaign County. An Ohio Power Siting Board approved wind development will surround the golf course. It likely means we will not see our 100th anniversary. Half of our members live 30 to 40 minutes away, and I do not think they will drive this distance to play golf in the middle of a wind farm. There are 23 jobs at risk. Testimony before the Ohio Power Siting Board detailing all of this was discounted because Ohio has a mandate. The Ohio Renewable mandate means these 23 jobs are expendable. It means Ohio's cultural heritage is less important than a UK equity investor that's relying on US taxpayer subsidies and the Ohio mandate. Has an unfettered right to plant 100 wind turbines with less than 35% capacity factor in Champaign County over the objections of the entire community. There's something very wrong with this. You have the power to make it right by passing Senate Bill 34. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Other questions from members of the committee? I have just one, and you know this because you lived it with me. I confess to be the one that did preempt local zoning as part of the original deal here, but I wanted to get this out there. The reason why it was important to preempt local zoning was twofold. And I'm going to add, my question is, do you recall this? There's two reasons. One, when property is zoned agricultural or has no zoning in the state of Ohio, local zoning authorities cannot do a doodly-doo thing, and the owner of the property can do whatever he wants, including putting the turbines on the property line. That's reason one. And reason two, we thought, perhaps out of naivete, that vesting this jurisdiction in the Ohio Power Siting Board would allow for an interdisciplinary group of folks from EPA and ag and wildlife and development and all the relevant disciplines in PUCO to look at a given wind farm and examine it holistically for effects on the bird and bat population, effects on airports, effects on development and all of that. Do you remember that being the two reasons why we all thought at the time that it was appropriate to preempt local zoning? And what, if anything, has changed your mind about whether those reasons are valid or not?
Yes, Chairman Seitz, I do absolutely remember. You know, I guess that we had some faith, which has proved to be misplaced in the Ohio Power Siting Board. I think that, you know, when every level of government says this does not serve the public interest, this is going to hurt our community. They don't care because they feel they have a mandate, and it's, you know, it trumps everything. And so, you know, while I agree that what we did was maybe try to protect some counties, what we did was we destroyed all the others.
And just to follow up, your point about the Ohio Power Siting Board is well taken to this extent. To the extent they're saying these projects are in the public interest because we have a mandate that half the renewable energy must come from Ohio sources, all right? To that extent, they are relying on what many have characterized as an unconstitutional proposition in order to trump what everybody else in Champaign County believes to be the public interest. Is that true? And isn't it also true that various folks from your county and others are challenging the OPSB's continued reliance on this unconstitutional proposition before the Ohio Supreme Court?
Chairman Seitz, yes, absolutely. We believe that it's a violation of the Constitution, and the poor and growing poorer every day citizens of Champaign County are funding what we think is government's job. And we have spent, I can't tell you how much money, over 8 years going through litigation, and we are on our way to the Supreme Court, and we are making a case that this is an unconstitutional mandate.
Other questions from members of the committee? Hearing none, thank you very much for your testimony. I do want to point out that there are other committees going on. It's not, I don't think that people are disinterested, at least I hope not. They have Senator Sawyer had an appointment. Other committees are going on, including one that I'm supposed to be on. So if we can find our vice chairman to come back and sub in for me for a while, I'm going to go at least check into my other committee. But that's part of life around here. People have multiple committees meeting simultaneously. May I have the next witness, please? Terri Lee, I'm going to mispronounce this, I'm afraid. Doenges? Doenges?
Good job.
I'm trying. It's from Wapakoneta, Ohio, from the Auglaize Neighbors United. Auglaize Neighbors United. Welcome.
Thank you.
Chairman Sykes and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of Senate Bill 34. My name is Terri Doenges from Wapakoneta. As a concerned citizen, I encourage you to adopt SB 34 and repeal Ohio's renewable energy mandate. I am a resident of Senator Heights District. He and I do not agree on these issues. I have been a resident of beautiful Doenges County for over 38 years. In approximately 2009, my husband Mark and I decided to move from the village of New Bremen to the country to combine our business and our love for country living. We took our time, over a year, and looked at over 40 places to find the right place to take us into our retirement years. We wanted a place with a safe yard for our grandchildren to be able to run and play. We needed room for a large building for our growing business. And most of all, a location with a beautiful view with breathtaking sunsets. We looked long and hard to find all of this, plus being able to meet local requirements for building codes for our building and our business. We hope to stay within a 30-mile radius of our former New Bremen home without having to buy a large amount of land to care for, as we also had aging parents. With township zoning being strict in some areas, we broadened our range, looking in places such as Bell Fountain and outside of Van Wert. We thought we had found a place located at 13999 State Route 224, Van Wert, Ohio. We looked at this home in the spring of 2010, decided we could add on to the building, and it was close to a major highway for my husband to have easy access to his job sites. Never once did the realtor mention that the property was near a proposed industrial wind farm that had filed an application with the Ohio Power Siting Board on December 21st, 2009 to build at least 159 wind turbines. This application was approved August 23rd, 2010. As we prepared to submit an offer on the Van Wert property, our current location at 10770 Buckland Holden Road, Wapakoneta, Ohio, became available. We took one look at it, did one walkthrough, and knew this is how we wanted to spend our lifetime savings and plan for retirement. It had the huge safe yard for the grandchildren. It had a building with room to expand. It had beautiful sunsets that could be seen from the back deck. We purchased this property September 1st, 2010, and we were so excited to call it home. We were so happy we had found our little slice of heaven until word came in January of 2010 that leases had been signed for wind turbines near us. See the location of our house and the proposed footprint of mainstream renewable energy projects in Doenges County on Exhibit A, attached to my outline. Our house is circled red asterisk, and the footprint of the project is outlined in orange. Our world began to crumble. A committee was quickly formed by local residents and unsigned farmers who chose to fight the project. We quickly signed up to be on the committee as members of Doenges Neighbors United, better known as ANU. We are a group of over 50 people that fought hard to defeat the wind farm in our community. Thank God we won our battle, and the wind developer packed their bags and left our area. You can see a copy of the newspaper article announcing the cancellation of the project on June 27, 2013, on the exhibit attached, Exhibit B. ANU has decided if the need arises, we will be ready to fight this battle again, just as hard and as quickly as we did the first time. Today, we still enjoy beautiful skies, breathtaking sunsets, with no industrial wind turbines towering 450 feet in the air and located only 1,200 feet from our homes. To block our views, clutter our skylines, cause shadow flicker, cause annoying noise, or cause sleep deprivation. Most importantly, the value of our house and our life savings has been preserved. Attached on Exhibit C are 3 pictures of the landscape around the house and van work we considered purchasing. These pictures were taken last week upon learning the opportunity to testify. I apologize for the camera operator. She did not know how to change the date. You can see 3 turbines to the west and 4 to the northeast. Attached on Exhibit D are 3 pictures of the landscape around our house in Wapakoneta. Where would you want to live? And where would you want to invest your life savings? I know my answer. In 2013, I received a call from Senator Hyde in response to my earlier request to consider the proper setbacks for wind turbines throughout Ohio. I was asking for the setbacks to be from our property lines and not from the base of our homes. After hearing him out, I was basically told, in my own words, that was not going to happen. It was then that I asked him if he lived in an area surrounded by wind turbines. I was told no. I appreciate Senator Hyde calling me back to discuss this issue. Likewise, I hope he understands and appreciates there are many residents of his district who do not agree with his views on this topic. In closing, I support passage of SB 34, repeal of the renewable energy mandate. I admit I must leave evaluation of certain parts of the existing law to the experts. What I will not leave to the experts, however, is the preservation of the value of my home and my way of life. There is little doubt in my mind, had we purchased the house and van work, I would be depressed, I would be deprived of sleep, I would have lost the value of a substantial amount of our life savings. We are so fortunate this did not occur. Our good fortune has nothing to do with the consumer protections in the present law because there is little or no consumer protections. Leasing agents for developers do not have to be licensed by the state or registered with the local county. Sellers of homes are not required to disclose applications pending for the Ohio Power Siting Board, much like they have to disclose notification of assessments or other pending zoning changes. Developers do not have to notify local residents they are in the area signing leases to build industrial wind farms. There are no property value guarantees to protect essentially a taking of the property value of residents who do not participate in the projects. And the deficiency of the setbacks, I have already stated my position on that topic. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I would be happy to take any questions. Yes, Senator.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I do appreciate your testimony. Are there any questions for the witness? Go ahead, Senator Kearney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mrs. Doenges, I believe that's the Doenges. proper pronunciation. Is it your understanding that if we were to pass Senate Bill 34, that wind turbines would be banished or prohibited in the state of Ohio?
No, I don't think that they're going to go away completely, but I do think that we need to change the bill, and I don't think that they're probably going to go away completely. No, I don't believe that. I would like to see that, but I'm not saying that I'm totally against wind turbines. I just don't feel they do not belong in an area so heavily populated as some of these homes.
Any further questions for the witness at this point? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your testimony with us, ma'am. Have a great afternoon. Next up on the witness list,